What's going on, YouTube? My name's Abe, and I am going to teach you guys about IT and cybersecurity hands-on and strategies to get a job in 2 to 4 months. And this has worked for person after person. So, of our 6-step process, this video contains steps 5 and 6. And that is selling yourself in the interview and ambition. Okay? Those are the last 2 steps. So, selling yourself in the interview consists of these 5 things: confidence, fast responses, professionalism, concise responses in a way, or being concise in general, and avoid fillers in your talking. I try my best day to day to not use filler words when talking, so we're going to go over that. So, confidence. What do I mean by being confident in the interview? Be factual, not questionable. And what does this mean? It means, be confident and have strong opinions, right? So, a good way of explaining this is when somebody is a leader and people are followers of this person will make decisions, stick to them, and these people will be trying to keep up with them because every decision they make is something they are so sure about. They're factually all right with the possible outcomes of the situation. So when you're in your interview and someone's like, how does this technology work or this protocol works? Be confident and be factual. This works like this instead of this I think works like this, or I'm pretty sure this works like this. That's being questionable. Be factual with your statements. So, response time. Fast is good and reassurance is best. So, some questions will be hard to answer. You do not need to instantly answer these, all right, without any thought. So, but respond and tell the person who's interviewing you, that is a great question. Give me a second to articulate my answer. So, you don't need to, as soon as they ask a question, be like, oh, this is how it's done, blah, 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 because you're going to get hard questions depending on the companies that you work for, right? So be like, that's a great. They know you're taking in the information and you are being professional in your response because maybe you want to be detailed. Maybe it's a question like that. How would we handle a data spill to our customers? Well, you need to get a fast response to your customers so they're aware of it, but you need to give it in a proper way. So by saying that you're taking time to articulate your answer, you're showing a lot of professionalism in that instance. So once again, my rule of thumb, 10 to 20 seconds. You don't want to have 2 people sitting in the room or over a phone call where they ask you a question. You don't tell them to give you a second to answer that question, and it's just silence. That's awkward for everybody, and that makes you seem questionable and not factual. So professionalism. Remember, you're dealing with a corporation in an interview. You're dealing with HR, right? You're dealing with the hiring manager. You're dealing with, recruiters or whoever, right? These people that you're in an interview with are on the corporate side of big tech. So they're going to dress like it. They're going to act like it, blah, blah, blah. But remember, that's not always the team dynamic, but first fill out the situation. Like if you go into the interview, nice and formal, and the company's like, hey, we do t-shirts and jeans. Then after the interview, your first day, come back in t-shirts and jeans. But for the interview, come across as professional and not questionable, right? Being concise. Do not drag out your answers, all right? You do not sound smart dragging out your answer and trying to overcomplicate something or over-explain something where you can end up actually losing somebody trying to over-explain it. Be concise with your answers, and once you're done, let them respond. Don't be like, blah, 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 blah. And then they're about to respond by, okay, next question. You keep, talking on about the first question they asked you. Be concise, be factual, not questionable. And avoid fillers. So this is such a big one, is avoiding fillers. Okayers and ummers are not good appearances, all right? So every time they ask you a question, you sit there and go, don't do that, okay? Be like, that's a great question, and that is a interesting question, so give me a second to try to answer that for you, or give me a second to answer that for you, right? Gather your thoughts. So this technology is best used in this said scenario, this said situation, right? And that would be a great way of explaining it. But do not do something like, oh, BGP, Border Gateway Protocol kind of works like this, but it's not really that important for like whatever reason because this new technology is better than BGP. Like, not good practice. All right, the last step, ambition. So ambition comes from three things in my opinion. Desperate times creates ambition, desire to change, and or self-discipline. Anyone can train themselves, forgot a bracket, and self-discipline. So desperate times. What do I mean by this? When trying to create ambition to give you a reason to study, change careers, get certs, pass tests, study for long periods of times, right? So your reason to get into IT may come from extreme circumstances. I was getting out of the military legitimately and needed a job. And I needed something that paid well because I had a mortgage, I had car insurance, I had a, dependents to feed. There was a lot of stress. So I couldn't go from making decent pay in the military and having all the security with healthcare to making $15 an hour or even $25 an hour. It just wasn't enough money. So that created ambition and desire and reason for me to study and to get certified because I had a deadline of saying, hey, you're going to get out of the military on this date. This is your last paycheck. You're not getting any other paychecks after this. So that really motivated me to study and study and study. Like I was studying 4 or 5 hours a day for like 2 or 3 months straight, right? Super easy. It wasn't hard for me. And I became to the point where it felt wrong to not study. So desperate times is a great one. Desire. This comes from within, and everyone has personal reasons for why they build desire. You may make good money now, but you want to change career fields. You're done doing manual labor or whatever, right? So you're creating desire from within. For me, I would also had desire, not only like that anxiety of ambition, but I had a desire to learn IT because I had a passion for it. So there was a reason that I enjoyed studying because I genuinely found the information in the book intriguing. So that is another great tactic. And think about these things. When you're trying to study and you need a reason to study, be like, oh, well, this protocol is really cool. Well, then study that. Like, even if it's not the next page or the next video in whatever training series you're following to get a certificate, go on YouTube, watch a video about a technology or something within computers that you want to learn, and that might get you excited. And then that'll get your nose in your book, or that'll get you to watch your other videos. Like, create that excitement. There's lots of single board computers that I love to mess with and create virtual labs with. So I'll watch videos on YouTube, and then that will get me interested in software and hypervisors. And I'll be sitting on my computer trying to learn these hypervisors and make these different pieces of software talk together. And the next thing you know, you're 4 hours deep into a study session of self-taught. So another great reason. Discipline. This one is the hardest one. And this discipline is learned through habit, right? So don't burn yourself out before you even get going. Some people work 10-hour shifts. Some people work 8 or 9 or 12 or 24s if they're EMTs or on deployments or whatever. Do what you can do to start building the habit. If you work a 12-hour day, you're married, you got to make dinner, you clean the house, blah, 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 and by the time you're just ready to go to bed, make it 30 minutes. 2 or 3 hours might be unrealistic, but if you constantly make those connections of those neurons in your brain by doing daily study to remember information, you're going to be better off. And that's how you're going to get to that cert in 2 or 3 months' time. All right. So, and eventually the point is to grow your study time because it's okay to study 30 minutes a day to an hour a day and then make your Saturdays or your Sundays or both your big long study sessions. I was able to somehow figure out a way between lunch breaks or whatever to study for 3 or 4 hours a day. But then on the weekends, I would study for 8. And I know people who would pass 6+ in 2 weeks and they'd have 12-hour study sessions Saturday and Sunday. Unrealistic for most, but maybe those are your 2 or 3 hour study session days. The rest of the week, keep 30 minutes to create a fresh brain. That's it. So stay tuned for hands-on IT videos and interviews with other IT and cyber pros. So the videos you're going to see from me comes from my personal story and my my experience getting into cyber in more detail for all of you. And then we're going to do hands-on. I'm trying to come up with curriculum and information that teaches you kind of from the most basic skills and keyboard shortcuts up to complicated tools, software, and analytics. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming out. I would appreciate if you would subscribe and take the time to share these videos with your friends, because there's good information that's going to be on this channel for as free or open source as possible.